Hello, my name is Lee and I'd like to welcome you to this video. Today we're not going to be looking at a video tutorial. Instead, I'm going to introduce you to a free piece of sculpting software. So this software is called SculptGL and it's actually a web-based application. That means you do not need to download anything in order to use this application. Now, it is not as feature-rich as perhaps something like ZBrush, but it is pretty rich in sculpting tools, and you can actually export your model afterwards to be used in another application. So with that being said, let's jump in and get started. So to move around the viewport, we can click in an empty space and hold down the left mouse button and click, and we can rotate. If we hold down the Alt key and click, we can pan. If while rotating and we hold the Shift key, we can snap to one of the views, so like front view, back view, side view, and so on and so forth. And if we use the mouse wheel, we can scroll in and out. Now along the top, we have the menu. And the first thing you'll notice is that we can actually save our object here. So we can save our 3D mesh into a usable format, such as an OBJ. It actually offers the ability to print. So if you want to print your model after you've created it, you can do that. We have some options here for the scene. So we can clear the scene, we can add a sphere and a cube, and so on and so forth. We have the history of our scene. So if we want to go backwards and forwards at certain points in which we're creating the mesh, we can do that here. We can import our own backgrounds. So if we have our own images or perhaps our own environments, we can do that here. As you can see, image, ambient, and environment. Here we have some camera options. Okay, so we can choose, for example, whether or not we want to be in the perspective or orthographic view. Next to that, we have the tablet pressure. So if you're using a tablet, it's actually pressure sensitive. Here we can choose languages, and then we have some extra UI stuff and the about help. Now jumping over to the right hand side, we have rendering. So the first one is where we're going to find all of the rendering settings, including, for example, the actual base material. So for example, if you want to use pearl, clay, we can use maybe some green material or something like that, but we can choose skin. I'm going to stick to skin for now. Now we can change the translucency of the material. We can choose whether or not we have flash shading, or if we want to see the wireframe. Below that, we have the topology. So here we can increase or decrease the topology. We can also delete the lower topology or the higher topology if we want. We can change the resolution of the model here. And we have a remesh option, which will recalculate the polygons in order to give you a better result or a sort of better outcome. And we have the resolution for that here if we want to change that. Now below that, we have the main part of what we're going to be covering today. We have the sculpting and painting. So we have the tool. Right now it's set to the brush, and if we click on our model, you can see that we can actually paint within our model here. Now we can change the different brush type. So we can choose brush, maybe we want to have a twist or smooth, maybe we want to flatten it, and so on and so forth. Now there's a shortcut. By pressing 1, we're going to get the brush tool. If we press 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through to 9, we're going to get different brushes, okay? So now with the brush tool, if we click, as I said, we're going to add some detail to our model. If we hold down the Alt key and click, we're actually going to subtract, okay? So we're going to subtract the amount of detail, okay? So this is the additive and subtractive way of modeling. And we can see that being indicated as I hold that Alt key. You can see that it's becoming enabled or disabled here in the brush. Now below that, we have the radius, so we can increase or decrease the radius right here. All right, so if we want to do that, we can do this. Now another shortcut for that is to hold down the X key and just move the mouse backwards and forward, and we're going to find a detail here. So perhaps we want to do something like this. Now below that, we have the intensity, so basically how strong the painting is. So pretty low is going to give us like a low intensity. So if I zoom in, you can see I get just slight details here. And if it's really high, we're going to get much greater, we're going to apply a much greater effect on the model. Okay, now if we hold down the Shift key, we can smooth. Okay, so instead of using the smooth tool, we can actually just press the Shift key and smooth. We can also set whether or not the default is negative or not. What this basically means is, so right now as I paint, you can see that it's actually pushing the polygons out. If I was to enable this, it will push the polygons in. So I guess that's really up to you on what it is that you'd like to choose. And below that we have some other options, whether or not to treat this as clay or whether or not this is a thin surface and so on and so forth. Now we can also access alphas. So here we see we have alphas, and it has some pre-built alphas in here. For example, skin would be a nice one if you're maybe perhaps creating a human or a creature. Maybe we should increase or maybe decrease the amount of influence that's being applied here. And as you can see, there's not really much detail coming up with this, so we could probably subdivide this a few times and we should get better results. So let's see, as you can see, as we get closer, you can see that those details are actually coming in. Maybe a little difficult to see here, but they are there. All right, so a higher subdivision is obviously going to give you much better results. You can keep increasing this to whatever you want. And here we go. Now we can see the skin is actually appearing here. So we have some alphas. We can also input an alpha if you want to do that too. And we can enable or disable the symmetry. So that is pretty cool, right? This is a nice, neat tool. You can sculpt your model, and then when you're finished, you can save this. So let's say we choose save as OBJ, and this will then download this to your computer. So with that being said, this is essentially a look at using this SculptGL application. I hope you like this. I thought this was a pretty cool app. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like. Until next time, we'd like to thank you for watching, and bye-bye.